Mastering the art of trade selection. We're going to have a look at what happened with last week's trades. We're going to have a look at what's going to happen with next week's trades. Let's see what the stock market, the Forex market, the commodities, what's gold doing? What's the S&P doing? ES, NQ. What's the Euro US dollar going to do, or the Dixie, or anything? Guys, this video is going to be a little bit raw and unedited, so please excuse the ums and the ahs today as I take you to the charts and we go and have a look at what happened last week and what we think might happen next week. So before we go in, let's just move this down out of the way so that we can see the chart at least. And then we can go and simply take a look at what we had and what we've got. The Dow Jones ended on pretty much the highs, a really high finish, but as did the US 500. Please excuse these, I'm experimenting with some trades here, but I've left them in over the weekend because they're short, so I'm not too concerned about that. If the world happens to end over the weekend, so be it. I had someone talking to me during the week. I was talking to the other Rob. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob, and for those of you who do know me, welcome back. It's Rob's Logical Trading. I'm going over the markets for the week. It's the weekend. Here we are. But we mentioned that I don't normally trade the news. And I just want to clarify a little bit on that. And that is, I don't trade small news. In other words, I don't trade this weekly stuff, the jobs figures, the CPI, and all that sort of thing. Because my belief on the markets as such is that at the end of the day, the markets move based on the money flow, the way the money flows up and down, left and right. You know, it's all to do with the asset value of the country, not to do with a jobs figure or anything to that effect at the end of the day. What these jobs figures do and these CPIs and things like that is they give you an indication in the market of where you might be or where the market might be standing, but they're not going to change anything at the end of the day. So what normally happens when these little news events come out is you get this knee-jerk reaction where it flies to one side, flies back to the other side, and then settles back to where it was in the first place, and nothing much happens. So I realized very early on in my career, through the years, that I was wasting my time hanging my hat on little news items like that, which happen every single day, and the slightly bigger ones every single week, maybe twice a week. And it becomes irritating because it just moves things around and everything settles back anyway. So what I learned to do was I learned to trade what I see. And as you know, we don't just trade squiggly lines. We understand that there's traders behind those squiggly lines. And we understand that we trade with a psychology and how we manage our risk. And if you want to know how to do that, please go and watch my previous videos. Go and have a look at my other videos. Go and see how we do that. Go and figure it out, guys, because it is useful to your trading. It'll turn you into a profitable trader. So the news events that I do look at, for example, if we go onto the finance here, the Yahoo Finance, I mean, I'll look at big news events. For example, yesterday there was something about the Ukraine, and that was actually affecting markets. That's something big that will actually affect the markets. Trump picks investor favorite Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary. Good to know that. Good to know that. Is it going to affect my life? Probably not. Strong week for stocks. Dow closes at record. Interesting. Okay. And so on. And yeah, here's a whole bunch of other things. Why F1's Las Vegas Grand Prix will be bigger and better than last year. That will affect me because I'll probably watch the F1. Saudi Arabia gets first Moody's upgrade. You know, if you're trading in Saudi Arabia, that might be of interest to you. Most of the news here is not going to affect us much. What will affect us, China won't pay for Trump's tariffs. There is a little bit about China. China, I'm ready for trade war with Trump. Now, that might have some effect at the end of the day. That might be something you want to keep your eye on. So what I look at is the bigger things, the geopolitics, or if a bank goes bankrupt or something like that, that kind of news event, that I'll keep my eye on. But when it comes to the smaller in-between things that happen on a weekly basis, every single week, non-stop, I'm really not going to bother too much about that, guys. Not important to me in the slightest. I'm having a cup of tea today, not even coffee. Ah, that's nice. That's really nice. But okay, so we have a look at how the markets went last week and what we think might happen next week just by looking at the charts and not really looking at the geopolitics. Now, why would I leave trades in short on the indexes? I would never leave a long trade in because you'll wake up on Monday morning and you'll be in trouble. But short trades, I don't mind because the news events will affect, if something goes wrong, you'll wake up on Monday morning and you'll be in the pound seats. I don't think anything will be such good news when the markets are right at the top, where you're going to wake up on Monday morning and markets would have doubled in price. That's just, insane. So being short is not a big deal over the weekend. And worst case scenario, you're going to wake up on Monday. Things will go up because there's good news and your stop loss will get taken out. But if you're long and things go bad, then things could open up really far away from your stop loss and it could end up blowing your account. So I don't like to hold long trades on the indexes over the weekend. Now, the FTSE, last week I was long on the FTSE. I called it long. It took my stop loss out and then it went and did that. Doesn't it always do that to you? It's just such a normal thing. It always does that, doesn't it? But it did it again. And there you go. FTSE long, big long green bars here. Okay, so it's long. It's going to go all the way to its resistance again. But as I've said, the FTSE is trading in this range. It's staying in this range. You might as well just trade it up and down. And that's what I was trying to do effectively down here, is trade it long within its range. And then it came down and my stop loss was a bit too close. It's my own fault at the end of the day, obviously. Really, obviously, it's my fault. Okay, so US 500. What I'm gambling on here is, and I'm calling it gambling, but it's not really gambling, but I'm looking at a high probability here that this is some kind of pennant. But what I'm looking at is this is going back up, going back up, going back up. It's in this sort of range where it looks a bit like a cup and handle. If you guys know or whatever what the cup and handle looks like, the next move should be to the downside. So if this starts to go down on Monday morning, I'll turn this into a trade, a full trade, and it'll go short. So I'm looking at the US 500, maybe, just maybe, turning short off of this based on that sort of little shape that we've got here. Go and have a look at it online if you don't know what it looks like. It's an interesting little shape that develops on something like this. The next move would be down here. NASDAQ has still continued to move on the upside. It's been hitting the trend support and bouncing off and going up. But there is a strong resistance up here, which is holding it up. Will it be able to get past that? Not sure. Don't know. We'll have to see. But if anything, the NASDAQ is long and it hasn't broken structure to the short side. So do be careful. And be careful on the US 500 as well, because it did break structure, but it's sort of worked its way back up. We're not sure. Okay? But I am short on the US 500. Dow Jones index has hit the all-time high, and it is still long. So no structure saying that it's going short at the moment. The VIX, you can just buy at 15, guys. Don't even worry about it. Now, the DAX also, we're short on the DAX with a view to, it had these head and shoulders patterns. The big one, there was a big head and shoulders pattern here. Didn't play out, didn't want to go, didn't want to go, didn't want to go. It keeps on trying and it doesn't want to go. Then there's another head and shoulders pattern that's developed on the right-hand side here, and now it's gone up and broken that pattern. But while it's broken the head and shoulders pattern, what it hasn't broken is this structure at the top here, which still seems to be intact. So what I'm looking at is there is a resistance up here at the 194.50 level that it needs to break through for me to say, well, this is kind of invalid now. But if this turns around and starts to go short on Monday morning, just like the US 500, I'm turning it into a full trade. But if it goes against us, no big loss, tiny little trade that I'm playing around with here. Because it's a gamble over the weekend as to, if I wake up on Monday morning and it's down here, I'll make a quick $1,000. Actually, it's a tiny trade for me. But, you never know. And if it goes down on Monday morning, I'll add to the trade and we'll have a decent full trade, because this is not a full trade. It's a portion of a trade. But because it was over the weekend, I just didn't want to take full trades just playing around. France 40 does still look like it wants to go long, a bit like the FTSE, but do be careful. It's in a bearish trend. It is in a bearish trend, even though it's lying in the support. And the Nikkei, wow, the Nikkei broke through its trend support, went down, it's come back. It's supposed to come back up and test it. And it's going to test the trend support, which is now trend resistance. And also, there's a level of supply right here, right on that level. So I was expecting that we'll come back in here, take some money, and we'll get a nice short trade on the Nikkei next week. So Nikkei is short next week. SA top 40 remains a long trade next week. Looks to me like it wants to go long. So if I look at the SA top 40, I have to say that the SA top 40 definitely looks like a decent long trade from here all the way up to 79,000, because it did bounce off this area. I remember I did say to you guys during the week, I might have been in the members video, that the SA top 40 looked like a good long off of this trend support. So that one looks good. Nvidia has taken a little bit of a knock when it comes to the trade, and I'm in, being invested in Nvidia, I'm looking at adding to that investment, because it's a really good place to add. So between Monday and Tuesday, I think I'll add to the investment there, because I think it's got a good picture for the future, and I think it'll just be great. So on the news side, guys, just be careful of Google, because I believe Google is being ordered to dump Chrome or something like that. So just be very careful of your investments in Google. Okay, so that's an Alphabet, eh? Right, so now if you look at your gold, I went short. I had my stop loss at 26.60, and I actually took the stop loss at 26.40 because it invalidated. And that just validates why you have a stop loss in place. You have a stop loss in place to prevent this scenario where it's gone to the moon and it's gone crazy. This is now a long trade because it's broken through here, and it's looking like it wants to head all the way up, back up to the 28,000 level, or at least the 2750. In that area, probably the 2750 will give you a bit of information as to what's going to happen next. I must say, wasn't expecting gold to go all the way up. I did think it would turn around and come back, but it hasn't. Probably got a lot to do with geopolitics and people looking for safe haven trades, because gold is a safe haven trade. Have some more tea. Normally I would drink coffee because it's coffee with Rob, but today I'm having tea. It is Saturday after all. And it's a Saturday update. We're doing an update on the markets, and we're having a look at where the markets are going next week. Brent crude oil is now long. It's broken through its trend resistance, which was the bearish move, which is now broken structure. It's moving to the upside, and it's broken with a nice green bar here. Will it come back to retest? Not sure, but I think you can get a decent long trade out of this area next week to the upside. So I think Monday or so, let's see what this looks like. Might be a good long trade as well. The Dixie, as you have seen, has flown to the upside. It really has flown to the upside. Big green bar out of here, broke through the resistance, came back, tested, and it's gone straight back up again. So with the Dixie going long, the euro US dollar, it really looks like it wants to head down and look for parity. It just keeps on going short. It's not changing its picture whatsoever. Just keeps on falling down to the downside. So I would say stay short on the euro US dollar for now. Great British pound US dollar is an even better short trade because it's broken through the support. It's come back to retest. Monday, big short going down. US dollar Japanese yen, still long. It's giving you the long signal, but there is a sort of offset head and shoulders building here. But I wouldn't be too concerned about it. This is in a very strong bullish pattern. Looks like it wants to continue on long. If I look at the pattern, it does look like it's still got lots of legs, and it's coming off this trend support here. So definitely stay long on the US dollar Japanese yen. The euro Japanese yen, on the other hand, we were short last week. and we closed it before the Friday, and then the rest of the week it kind of went up and came all the way back down again. Probably should have got back in again, but I didn't. But it would have been useful to get back in on this short because it has gone up to what was a trend a resistance and bounced off that and come all the way down again. Now I expect next week you'll probably get a bit of a long trade out of this because what I'm seeing here is a bit of this. I know it's not on 3 points, but okay, let's just redraw that a little bit lower. I probably got my trajectory wrong a bit there and there. Let's try this again. A little bit lower. There we go. That's more like it. It's looking a bit like it wants to sort of bounce off this area. So do be cautious about continuing on with the short. Does look like it wants to bounce here. Go long back up to this area, the 163. But maybe what I would do here, because it is broken into a short structure, is look for more of a short off of this 164 level. So we'll have a look next week and see what that does. The US dollar, South African rand has gone long, remains long. There is a head and shoulders at the top on the pattern here, but it hasn't developed, it hasn't played out, and it looks like it wants to bounce off support and go to the long side. So US dollar, South African rand is long for now. If it does break through this, then there is a long way down. So do watch out for that. Euro, Great British Pound is still sort of teetering around on the short side. But if I look at it, it does look a bit like it's sort of undecided, doesn't know where it wants to go. I would say let it get down to this trend support and then maybe go for long all the way back up again, or just stay out of the trade. US dollar CAD, it's another one of those trades of mine. I shall see what it does on Monday morning, but my opinion of the US dollar CAD is it broke through. There is a demand of money here. It's come back to take it, and it will continue on to the upside, continue on long. That based on the Dixie being so long as well. Okay, so you're not going to get much of a different trade here. It's in structure. It's continuing on the long side. So that looks like a long trade. Aussie dollar, US dollar is still short, as is the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, which follows this pattern extremely close. Same pattern. Not much is going to change. So it does look like it wants to bounce out of support, but for the time being, it's a short trade. Do be cautious going long on this trade until it breaks above this trend resistance at 65.70, maybe even the main resistance up here at 66, before this becomes a long trade at the moment. Very short trade at the moment. So everyone is going short on the Aussie dollar, US dollar. Then Bitcoin has now reached for the 100,000, or it's reaching for the 100,000. We were long. We went out at 91,000 on a trailing stop, and then it continued on long. I was hoping it would come back and take some money, but it didn't. It broke through, and the next way it would come back maybe to 94,000 and take some money. If it comes back to that, I might actually take the long up to 100,000. But if it reaches 100,000 and comes back, I'm going to leave it alone, because then it'll probably come all the way back down, probably down to the 69, 70,000 level, because 100,000 is the target. Everybody's just aiming for the target, and that's what they're going for. So that's the trading week on the charts. That's what the charts look like, and that's what we're seeing for the week. And yeah, let's see what happens next week. We'll have a look on Monday when the new members video comes out. We'll have a look. The news, there's not much in the news to talk about. The news is very basic. Everything was green on Friday. Everyone was happy on Friday. The Walmart CFO, China won't pay for Trump's tariffs, America will. Samsung was ordered to pay $118 million for infringing netlist patents. There's a whole bunch of things going on in the news. Don't worry too much about the news. Banks eager for pro-growth, deregulation environment under Trump. It's a lot to do with Trump, a lot going on with Trump. My portfolios, I'm leaving as they are. I will add to the NVIDIA Corporation, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, have a great trading week, guys. And I'll see you again on Monday. I do take Sundays off, as you know. And we'll see how the week goes. And hopefully we'll get a nice week. I'm hoping for shorts next week, at least. But tired of the longs. I was actually thinking that the markets would come back, correct all the way down, and then we get a nice Christmas rally. But yeah, that might still happen. This might still come down to this level, and then we'll get a nice Christmas rally. Let's see how that goes. Let's see if we get that. Guys, have a good one. Have a great week. Don't forget to watch the last videos. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to learn how to trade, how to put these levels in, how to trade with support and resistance, Fibonacci, or any of those things, go and watch my last videos. I'll teach you everything. Cheers, guys. Ciao, and bye.